for the 11th installment of Holy Shit! We have come all the way down to Seattle, Washington to check out the most powerful CPU workstation on the planet. Or like, sort of pretty close. Anyway, Puget Systems was too cheap to ship it to me, so they made me come all the way down here. Let's go have a look inside and see if it lives up to all the hype. The Aria headphones from Phoenix come complete with a cardioid clip mic and acoustic chambers constructed entirely of Japanese pine wood. Click the link in the video description to learn more. And here it is, the Puget Peak Quad. This monster of a system has... Oh crap. No, this is the old revision, well, also the current revision, that they actually have to spend 3 days modifying the case just to get the freaking enormous motherboard to fit inside. Let's go have a look at the prototype one that they are working on. Ah, here it is. This is the new and improved Puget Systems Peak Quad. The case is actually a collaboration with Case Labs, who you've probably heard of at some point or another, so construction quality feels pretty good, but it's still missing a few features. Puget figures they've got about 17 things to add still, including an SSD mount that isn't on top of the optical drive. They're thinking maybe on the back of the motherboard, as well as some fans on the side panel that actually don't need to be unplugged when you open up the side panel, that swings off or swings out and up a little something like that. But of course, you're not here to see the case. You guys want to see the guts inside. So this, my friends, is a Supermicro X10 QBL 4CT motherboard, which uses a form factor that I can pretty much guarantee, unless you browse Supermicro's website for fun. Yeah, nobody does that. Unless you do that, you've probably pretty much never seen. And that's why they needed to either design a custom case or like do custom fabrication on an existing case. Because look at this freaking thing. The I/O is like, you know, whatever that is, it's like 4 inches down from the top of the board. The PCI Express slots, well, they're just like way down at the bottom. You gotta use a riser and then like an expansion hard PCB if you even wanna put 2 cards in it. And the whole thing is covered with CPUs and RAM. Yes, my friends, quad CPUs, water-cooled by Corsair H60s, and using their laser cutter, they actually create these acrylic and then sort of vanity-plated hold-downs for them, so they can mount them on a narrow ILM LGA 2011 V3 socket. In terms of cooling this kind of a beast, you can see each CPU has its own heatsink for the VRM that goes along with it, and this is where things get crazy town. Each of these CPUs actually has 128 gigs of RAM on it, with the system being capable of holding up to 4 times that much. So altogether, the system has 512 gigs of DDR4 memory and can hold up to 2 freaking terabytes. But if that's not impressive enough for you, check out the video card. So we actually went and grabbed these from something else. They're not for this particular system, but we're like, come on, it's holy just throw whatever we got in here. So we've got a couple of NVIDIA's Quadro M6000 24 gig video cards, making for a total of 48 gigs of video memory in this system. So it's a total of like almost 600 gigs of RAM, although it really doesn't work that way. That's not how like memory works. You don't get to just add it all up. How do you power a system like this? That's a great question. I'm glad you asked. They're actually using an EVGA Supernova 1600 P2. This is the same power supply that we used back when we did 7 gamers, 1 CPU, and for good reason. The motherboard alone requires a 24-pin power connector and 4, count them, 4 EPS 8-pin connectors, because it has, wait for it, 4 CPUs, right? Okay, so that's fine, Linus, but what does all of that translate to in terms of real-world performance? Well, in Task Manager, you can see that our 4 E7 8867 V3 processors make for a total of 64 cores, and do we have hyperthreading disabled? It was off! We're gonna fix that. And of course, Supermicro is not F10 to save changes and reset. All right, so I will go here, and we'll be back. All right, let's try that again. Opening up Task Manager, boom, there's our 512 gigs of RAM. So the fact that we're using 7 gigs of RAM right now, and that is 1% of our system memory. If that doesn't tickle you guys, then you clearly don't have the same ticklish spots that I do. And now we've got all 64 of our real cores, all 128 sockets, and you guys have probably noticed we're running Windows Server 2012. Yes, because we have 4 physical sockets on the motherboard, we actually have no choice but to run a Windows Server operating system because the consumery ones will not support this. Check this out. We actually have to scroll. We have to scroll. And the current version of this system with the 8867 V4 would actually have slightly more processors, I think like another 8. But of course, that's not what you guys really want to see. You want to know, but does it run Cinebench? Wow, look at it go! Ha! If you've ever run that on your MacBook, then you'll know that I mean, look at this! 6,139 points! It's crazy! It's unnatural! And it's actually not even as crazy as it gets. This system can be configured with up to 96 total cores, 192 threads. Mind you, you'd be paying a pretty penny for that because even in the configuration that we're looking at here today, I configured a reasonable approximation of this on Puget's site. You would be looking at, see this says $35,496, but actually that's with only one Quadro M6000 in here. If you were to add the second one, you'd be looking at $40,000 to take home a system like this. Peripherals not included, shipping not included, taxes and other surcharges not included. So unless you're a freaking baller or you're using it for legitimate purposes like, you know, gas and mining exploration, like crazy number crunching stuff like that, you might as well not even drool after this system, because as much as watching Cinebench numbers that are from the planet Mars is pretty cool, there are disadvantages to running a system like this as a general desktop. For example, I can't even wait here talking, buying time long enough for you guys to watch this thing boot. It takes like multiple minutes to post because of all the RAM and the fact that it's got a server motherboard in it. But that doesn't change the fact that it's cool, and that doesn't make it any less deserving of a spot on Holy which I hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you again next time. Speaking of a lot of money, Braintree. Braintree's free trial gives you $50,000 in transactions fee-free. Yes, my friends, you could actually buy the computer that we set up from a company using Braintree, and if they had just set it up, they would not have to pay any fees on that transaction. But what is Braintree exactly? Great question. It's code for easy online payments. So if you're building a mobile app, for example, and you're searching for a simple payment solution, check out Braintree. With the V.0 SDK, which is one small snippet of code, you can be all set up in less than 10 minutes. And if that's too hard for you, they have support staff ready to walk you through the process over the phone if you need them. Their code supports Android, iOS, and JavaScript clients, and they have SDKs in 7 programming languages. They make it easy to offer multiple mobile payment types, including PayPal, Apple Pay, Bitcoin, Venmo, Android Pay, credit cards, and more. And more, all with this one simple integration. All you gotta do is head over to braintreepayments.com/Linus. We've got that linked in the video description. And as I mentioned before, you get your first $50,000 in transactions fee-free. So thanks for watching, guys, and if you disliked this video, well, you know what to do. But if you liked it, then get subscribed and maybe give a shout out to our friends over at Puget Systems in the comments below. They're actually nice people, even though, you know, this guy's involved. And anyway, if you really liked the video, hit that like button, get subscribed, maybe even consider checking out where to buy the stuff we featured today. Normally we say at Amazon, but hey, not so much today because Puget's the only one that builds that particular system, so we'll have that linked in the video description. Also listed in the video description is our merch store where you can buy cool shirts like this one, as well as our community forum, which you should totally join. Now that you're done doing all that stuff, you're probably wondering what to watch next, so check out our last episode of Holy where we did an individual spotlight on that $5,000 graphics card, including running like DaVinci Resolve on it and stuff like that.